everybody, and welcome to Page to Frame podcast. I'm Gaby.
Welcome back. I'm Jess. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't already checked out our first episode, please go back and check out our opinions of the first movie and book. You'll love it. And before you come back and watch this episode of our opinions of the second movie and book.
Oh, spoiler warning if you haven't seen the book or movie of the Hunger Games franchise, we are going to be talking about the previous installment just a little bit. And of course, there will be foreshadowing for the third book. So just keep in mind on that. And thank you guys. Let's get started.
First of all, I gotta show my love of hardback books. I got the full set of the... Dang it. It's hard to do this when you have the backgrounds here. Dang it.
There you go.
There,
2 seconds it was there.
Yeah, 2.5, maybe, possibly. Yeah. There we go. You saw enough of it.
I'm a huge fan of the Hunger Games. I watch it like almost every year, if not more.
Yeah, it's been a while actually, so that's why I definitely had to refresh my memory and read the book and watch the movies again, because it's been a minute. But I love post-apocalyptic books, so I definitely want to dive into more of that after this book series. I think me and Gaby are definitely fascinated about this subject in books, so I think we're going to do a couple series about this theme.
Well, they were very popular around this time. Like Hunger Games opened up the floodgates to Maze Runner, to Divergent, and I have issues with that series, all on their own. But if you guys do have any recommendations for any future books or movies that are adapted from books that you want us to review or get our thoughts on, or altogether get our thoughts on, please let us know. We really do want this to be a community-filled type of podcast where your input is greatly and very encouraged to be a part of this.
We'd love to hear from you and get you involved.
Yep.
Comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you think. So let's get started with the book here. So go ahead, Gaby. Let's get us rolling.
So one of the biggest issues that I've kind of had, and I mentioned this in the first podcast, is that the mayor's daughter is fully removed from this series. And to my knowledge, I was like, okay, she wasn't in that many scenes. She was in a lot of scenes in book 2. Okay? She was the only friend. Gale left. Gale didn't hang out with her because he was in the mines. Okay? It was her hanging out with Katniss, being friends with Katniss. The reason that the mayor even tries to defend them, the reason that I think the ending of this book happens, a part of it is because of her relationship with the mayor and the mayor's daughter. And so that's really frustrating that they kind of remove that subplot altogether.
Yeah, that's true. And it even part of that relationship with the mayor's daughter, I can't remember her name, something with the M right now.
I keep thinking it's Mags, but that's
no, it's not Matt. Cool. It's dang it, Madge.
Yeah, I think it's actually Madge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Madge.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, there's a scene where she goes I believe it's after the Victor's tour. This is jumping way ahead, but that's what popped into my mind when he said that. I believe it's after the Victor's tour. She's looking for her, and she passes the mayor's office, and she hears the TV or radio station. I forgot which one it is, and it's talking about the other districts rioting.
So I believe that's before the Victor's tour.
Okay, I guess it is. I have wrong timing, but yeah.
And the only reason I believe that that's true is because she then isn't as surprised for the top security that they get on the Victor's tour.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's before. I was like, I can't remember which exactly it is. I just remembered that, and I was like, they don't have that in the movie.
Hey, so here's the reminder, right? You only have so much time in a movie, and the books, you are able to make them super long. I listen to the books, and even listening to them is about a 10-hour book. We can't have a 10-hour movie, no matter how much we might want that, you know?
No matter how much we might be committed to it.
So the reason, you know, so that's kind of why a lot of things do get excluded. I think that when they excluded her from the first movie, they maybe weren't thinking 4 steps ahead of like how close, you know, Katniss and her become in the second book. Or maybe the author itself was like, yeah, I don't think she's that important. Even though I don't know, I just really like her as a character, and I hate that she was just taken away from the movie.
Yeah, because it just showed like how much her character growth was.
Yeah, because she like starts accepting people as possible friends. But even though that's kind of messed up, because then I think that would interfere with the whole PETA thing. Because when she says, I'm not really good at making friends, the mayor's daughter is an example of her making friends with somebody. So it's kind of a bad argument against PETA and her being friends.
But that's also like just one of her only friends though too.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing that made me so sad and heartbreaking that like doesn't even get a mention or nothing, and it was rereading this last time that it even like stuck in my head that okay, so if you read the books, you know that Katniss sells in the black market whatever she sells from hunting. So what is that place called? The
Club.
Yes. So apparently they all got their hard-earned money and they all sent like food and stuff to PETA and Katniss, but mainly to Katniss, who they actually know and were rooting for. So it's like, I love it because in the books she talks about how she spends as much money as she possibly can there to like say thank you to them for giving their money to keep her alive.
Yeah.
Which again shows how much sponsors and all that stuff really is important, but it doesn't get touched on in the movies, which I know is so hard to kind of like portray. And in the first movies, they try to show Haymitch talking to people as like a thing, and then in the second one, I feel like they just lose it. Like, we don't need it, even though it is very important.
Yeah. The only thing they kind of did show is them like trying to save the Hob.
Yeah.
Which I think was important, you know, that showing that they cared about it. But yeah.
It would have been interesting to see it burn like it does in the book.
Yeah, but they didn't, you know, they just saved them and that was about it. And then it kind of, I do want to say something that I did notice between the first and the second is the progression of the movie was a lot smoother than the first, in my opinion.
Like the timing in the first was better?
Yeah, I guess it just didn't seem like bam, 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 bam the entire movie.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing with that, and I thought it was very interesting that I didn't realize till it got to the game portion of the book. It's because in this book, the games were 3 days.
Yeah.
Instead of 3 weeks. So yeah, they had plenty of like there was a lot of filler that they had already removed from not including it in the first movie. So it made it easier for the things that they kept to just flow better and kind of like a smoother kind of thing. So
what I also think is they had a different director.
Did they?
Yes. I looked that up and I was like, I wonder. Yeah. Who was it? I looked it up because I was like, I wonder. I was like, the style was just different. And I was like, just out of curiosity. Yeah, it was the one for the first Hunger Games director was Gary Ross. And I think the one who finished out the rest of them was Francis Lawrence. So you're looking it up too now.
What I'm curious about is who wrote it, because timing can be changed in editing. Okay, let's be real on that. At the end of the day, the director did help write it. Oh, okay. Well, that might be a thing. Cheese and rice. I was like, where is this catching fire writer? Oh yeah, completely different writing team. I think that's what made the difference, was that they have completely different writers. They only had one editor for this whole movie.
Research helps, right? I guess so. So at least my comment went into a whole deep dive.
And you know what? Their video. So they actually got a new crew.
So, bam.
Completely new crew for Catching Fire, which I think does show artistically. I do like that this one was more on beat. It did change certain things that I had mixed feelings about. But sometimes you gotta show and not tell, okay? Sometimes you gotta show and not tell, and that's what they did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Still, like, it was done smoother than the first movie.
Yeah, more efficient, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I know they still had to take things out, of course, like we've talked about, but it was definitely smoother. It wasn't, like, in your face the entire time.
Oh, and then when it get into the games, it was like, and I was like, bro, can we breathe? And then in this one, it wasn't supposed to give you time to breathe. I think it still was a little bit rushed, but this one was meant to feel that way.
Yeah, this one, it was supposed to. So it still went, because that's the way it was supposed to be.
All right,
but it's still just smoothed out like it was supposed to be. So we bounced around all over the place.
A little bit of everything. Okay, so what's my next note thing? See, I try to take notes.
I really should. Gage told me, he's like, you should take notes. And I was like, I thought about that like almost when I was halfway through the movie.
I did it while I was reading the book. I was like, so the first thing I put here is President Snow put cameras in the woods. And then I remembered in the movie, they verify that, and then I just finished watching the movie now, and yeah, like they show where Katniss and Gale kiss or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't even say it that time that you know, they didn't have the conversation. He just let the thing play. They didn't have the conversation about it, which took out time of that conversation. You just be like,
yeah, well, it goes back to showing, not telling. So
yeah.
The book, you sometimes have to tell a little bit more because there's ways of showing in books. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But in first person, when it's another person's perspective and stuff, it's a little bit harder. And in third person in a film, it's so like, I love it because the line how he delivered it was like, please make me believe it. And then he shows the picture. You're like, yeah, it's going to take a lot for him to believe it now.
Yeah, they definitely jump started though too, even from the beginning. They're like, oh, we're about to go on the Victories tour, and they had a bit more time before they even went that way. In the book.
But it wasn't that important.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on that, but it gave a little bit of a backstory of how things had been, I guess, up until that time. But I get why they jump started before then. Because it wasn't necessarily important to let them know about, I guess in a way it would have explained like why Cinna was willing to do so much for Katniss though.
Yes and no. I mean, it was established from the first movie that he's betting on her.
Yeah.
Like he chose District 12 as his district to be the dresser or whatever they're called.
The stylist.
There we go. I was like, I don't remember the word. So there were a lot of times where you saw it. A lot of it, yes, maybe it doesn't show it as well in the movie, that he's like really on her side and he's willing to help her. But what I do like on the flip side is that it's because he cares about the revolution.
Yeah.
And as horrible as that is to kind of corrupt that relationship, in the movie, to me, the perspective is more that as soon as she did what she did, he wanted to help her because he found someone he empathized with. Someone he was like, you know what? I'm a really good stylist. I know I can make this chick unforgettable, and that's how I can help her.
Yeah.
Like, she caught my eye, I'm going to help her as much as I can. But her winning and the way that she won, it was like, oh, she did something I didn't even think that she could. Or maybe he thought she could. And then from there on, it's all about kind of the revolution and helping her because she is the Mockingjay, or helping her become the Mockingjay.
Yeah.
And that's simple. And in the book, it's more kind of genuine, and it's more like, oh, this person is someone I deeply care about and is friends with. And in the movie, it's more like, I'm going to make her the symbol of the rebellion.
Yeah. It shows the relationship more in the book. Like, they don't even mention like people are supposed to, victors are supposed to have talents or whatever.
Hobbies.
Yeah, like special talents, and they try and look, and Cinna ends up saying, I'll show you fashion, and like ends up doing all the work for her.
Well, no, so the whole idea behind it, and the book explains it, where it's, they have literally nothing to do because they are so rich and so loaded that their talent, or really their hobby, is whatever they are now doing because they no longer need for anything.
Yeah. Was that
so it? And Katniss says hers is hunting, but she isn't stupid enough, or she didn't want to throw that in the Capitol's face because it is very illegal. So they had to come up with something. And then I do like that in the book she mentions that Prim is good at like everything.
Yeah, everything from the considered list that Effie sends them. She's like, she picked up on everything, and I didn't.
Which I have mixed feelings about, and for her not to pick up anything. Like, I guess they wanted to keep her like as a hunting thing to like show how impressive she is for this book, because she basically got an upgrade in like.
I guess she was just more of not her showing her sister was more feminine, and she was just more of the tomboy, I guess, type.
Well, that being said, I mean, I have mixed feelings about that because I would consider myself very tomboyish, but I can freaking crochet a dress if I need to, like, so it doesn't really affect your femininity. And so, like, to me, personally, it made me feel like she was very incompetent in the book, and it actually separated me from her a little bit. I was like, you didn't even pick up journaling or writing or anything? Because you know what would have been really good? Is that she would have picked up journaling, like writing everything down, because of how the third book ends. It would make sense that she picked up journaling as her like extended hobby.
Yeah.
Even then, like, just, you know, like poems, I don't care, like just do something.
Yeah, that would have made sense.
But the only reason that they didn't do that is because Peeta's the one that's supposed to have the way with words and not her.
Yeah, that's true, because he's the one that's supposed to captivate everyone. And she was more or less supposed to be a symbol.
Yeah, I mean, she was the action, she was the doer.
Yeah.
He was the, like, inspiration and stuff like that. I don't know. It's like this weird balance.
Talker.
Yes. The swindler, the one that, like, makes you think.
The silver tongue.
Yeah. So it does, like, it did bug me that, like, she didn't pick up any trait, like, whatsoever. I was like, really? Wow. Mm-hmm. How incompetent are you? Because you're really good at hunting. You're really good at, like, you know, catching your prey. I have no idea, like darts or something. Like, come on, like, pick up something. Or swim.
Chess. Maybe, I mean, you're smart. Come on now.
Yeah, chess would have been good. Or checkers if we want to, like, not make her as smart, I guess. I don't know. It, like, frustrated me. But at the same time, I know that they did the whole, like, oh, I said I would do dresses because it gave her and Cinna a reason to become friends. And again, in the book, it's more like he's helping her out of his own friendship rather than he cares about the rebellion.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like he does care about the rebellion way more than he cares about his friendship with Katniss.
Yeah, that's what I think it more or less showed more in the films.
Well, no, even in the book,
But
just the amount of like detail that he does for her, just to me has always screamed that he cares more. Like even the conversations that they have in the book rather than they have in the movie, he's like hinting, he's like probing, he's trying to mentor her into becoming a rebel. Like every time they talk, I felt like there was a double meaning between everything. So like that's why personally I wish she would have gotten a habit or a hobby, something. Even if it was music, she can sing.
Oh, that's true. Oh, well, she said she didn't want to sing in front of other people.
Well, yeah, but like play musically, I don't know. It's just like when you're literally forced to come up with a talent for your life, you mean to tell me you're not going to come up with anything? You mean you're going to rely on somebody else to lie for you to survive?
What also bugged me too was they didn't show Gail's mother. They didn't mention his family at all.
Lovely.
It just seemed like Gail was just they didn't mention him in the first movie to begin with.
They do slightly.
Like hardly, you don't even think about it, and they don't even come out in the second movie at all. Not mentioned.
It's like an afterthought. Yeah.
Yeah, they're because they don't even. When she mentions to leave to Gail, she's like, "Come on, let's leave," you know. And he's like, "Who? Me, you, your sister, and your mom, and your feet. Oh, well, you know, me, you, and your sister, your mom, and PETA, you know." And they don't even mention his mom and his brothers. You know, they don't mention any of that.
Yeah.
They only mention it in the book, and I'm like, what about his family?
Well, and to be fair, their family kind of lives for Katniss. And to be fair, I think his family is less important than you know whose family never gets
mentioned. PETA's at all.
Yeah.
At all. Period.
You see her mom being you see his mom being really mean the one time, and that's it.
Yeah.
They're very supportive. They're very kind. Well, I mean, not the mom. She's mean and evil. But the dad.
I know the dad was so nice, and he was mentioned like just once, you know, in the first book for a little bit. Well, 2-3 times. But he was real nice, and the brothers aren't like mentioned ever except like once in the first book. But at least his brothers, you know, Gail's brothers are mentioned, you know, multiple times throughout the first book and in the second book. And
well, so the reason that I don't like that PETA's family isn't mentioned is because he then talks about, and this is something that I've seen a lot of videos like on YouTube and stuff of people who haven't read the books that just go based on the movies, which is perfectly fine. I mean, the movies are meant to stand on their own. That's the whole point of adaptations. But in PETA, when he yells at Katniss for not telling him about the danger that they were in, he's like, I have family too. And then
he is never mentioned.
And
how do you know this?
And no, but he yells it in the movie. Like he like gets super mad, and then you know everyone's reactions are like, really? And then the part that they like then come back to is later in the movie where he says, I don't have anybody. But that scene doesn't play out that way in the books.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a double meaning to that in the books. Mm-hmm. He's not talking about his family. He means he doesn't have a freaking lover at home like Katniss does. He's talking about he will never be in love with anybody. He will never want to have sex with nobody. He will never want to like
make a life with somebody else.
Yeah, form a family with somebody else. But she does have someone that she can form a family with.
Yep.
And that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about not having a family. He's just like, my family don't care about me. Which in the books, you can kind of tell, like, PETA doesn't live with his family.
Mm-hmm. They didn't move with him to Victor's village.
No?
He just
visits them.
He goes and sees them at the baker's shop, but he lives in Victor's village by himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yeah. That's it.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So the lake, Katniss talks about going to the lake on her free time.
Yeah.
And how her dad taught her to swim and this stuff, which seems wholesome and just seems like you're getting backstory on Katniss and even a little bit graciously of her father and their relationship. But that's important when we get to the arena and you're wondering why Peeta is drowning and Katniss doesn't.
This is true. This is very true. Yep.
Like if you go based on the freaking movie, you're like, I don't think there's water in the
District 12.
Well, not even District 12 in the woods. Like they're never shown swimming. They're never shown like they're always in a field. They're always surrounded by trees. So it's just like, how does one learn to swim? Like
they go like this in the bathtub.
As a person who's not the best at swimming, I can tell you it's not that easy.
They just go like this.
I do love though that Mag's doggy paddles. I was like, that's so cute. It's like the most tiring thing in the planet on the pool. It's like actually the most inefficient way to swim. It's doggy paddling, but you're old.
It works. It just go, you still floating and you're still going.
But yeah, so that was one thing that was, I think, very crucial too. And even when I first ever saw the first time I saw the Catching Fire movie, I was like, that's pretty good swimming there, Katniss.
When did you learn to do that?
I know why Finnick is really great at swimming. But why are you?
How'd that happen?
To be fair, why are a lot of them? Because in the books, it does say like that a lot of them are like terrified to like get into the water.
Yeah.
Until BD shows that it's like the belts or whatever.
Yeah, they're flotation devices.
Which I thought was pretty cool that they thought of that. Not Hunger Games up right there. 2 people that could swim.
Yep. Well, 3. Like Max could swim. It was doggy paddling, but she could do it.
My bad.
She could still do it. She still did not sink.
She did not sink. But I think that was very important to the overall story that was missed out.
Yeah, because she went out there just to swim with her dad and whatnot, and there was a couple scenes out there by the lake too. So, and they showed it later too. Oops, they showed it in book 3. Or talk about it in book 3, and had another scene where actually she meets some refugees in this book here.
Oh yeah, where they're talking about District 13, and then she's upset at the fact that there's possibly a District 13, and
yep, it's some refugees from District 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she was like, she went out there. I forgot why she went out there.
She just went out there that day. Like, that's the thing. She had nothing else to do, so she spends her times in the woods and in the lake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she just wanted to get away for the day, and she went out there, and she saw some light from her cabin that she had out there, makeshift with her dad, and she's like, what is going on here? And yeah, it was 2 people from District 8. That went out to try and find District 13.
Oh, she was hunting. Now I remember, because she goes hunting still. Because everything that she catches, she gives to Gale's family.
Yeah.
And so she, like, had, thankfully or whatever that day, got in, like, extra. She then ran into them and gave them the whole thing. I talk about Peeta painting his nightmares. Freaking loved that. When he shows Katniss his hobby and like how he deals with his trauma is very artistic. I love it.
Yeah, I did like that too. And she asked she asked him how he dealt with it. I think that was during the tour on the train.
When they agree to be friends, yeah.
Yeah. So that was during their whole. I think that time they were asking about the colors that they liked. Let's be friends, and not, during like around that scene. That's when it's supposed to take place.
Yeah. Because then my next note is District 11 was way more impacted with her thanks from the bread. Because that's what actually triggers it. It isn't her opinions of Rue or like thanking Thrash and giving the money, even though that's where Katniss is like, I think I love Peter. But it's like, oh, thank you for the bread. And then they remember, oh yeah, we rebelled. Let's do it again.
That was just so sad, though, too. I mean, you really, you more felt the impact of that rebellion watching that instead of just the way you felt it, like, a lot more in the movie. But at the same time, I think it would have been more impactful the way it was written. Yeah, but it showed quite a bit also the way it was portrayed.
Yeah,
I still think they did a good job.
Yeah, because in the whole, like, them rebelling in the first movie explains why there's, like, so many towers and stuff like that. But even then, Rue had kind of implied that, like, their peacekeepers weren't as nice as Katniss's.
Yeah.
I also don't like that, like, when Gale gets whipped, no one else steps in, because in the book, people step in.
Yeah, they
in
did.
Fact, the one person that stepped in and got his butt kicked ended up a mute with no tongue.
Yep. He ended up at Avox, and they didn't mention that it was one of the other peacekeepers that they used to have that was in charge, got turned into Avox over there, and it really affected her when they went back to the
Capital.
When they went back to the games in the training center.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Thought that was beautiful.
I thought that was because that was just a mind game for her that really messed her up.
A really big mind game. Katniss and Peeta, when in the movie, they're just like randomly dancing as everyone else in the Capitol. In the books, you know that Effie actually taught them a few dances from the Capitol, so they wouldn't look like idiots.
Yeah, that's true. Because otherwise, they wouldn't have known. They don't know how Capitals dance. Because they don't get much chance to dance. I mean, they're just plainly trying to survive. Another thing that, that they don't mention really in the movie is that, when they started sleeping together on the train, they kept telling them, hey, let's not do that. And they kept doing it anyway. They don't show that at all in the movie.
I don't think it was necessary. It's a cute little thing for the book.
It is. I mean, for the movie, yeah, it was. But so I guess not. But at the same time, it wasn't. I don't know. It was definitely cute for the movie, but it wasn't like.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like they were telling them, hey, go back to your room or whatever. It was.
Yeah, in the books.
Yeah, but it wasn't said like ever in the movie.
Yeah, because either way they ignore it. So like. Yeah. It's a fun little fact that they like went against them in the books, but I mean, again, timing wise, you don't really need it for the movie, and it doesn't really add or take away from the movie.
I guess so.
So usually when things like that get cut, it's because they don't add any value to the movie.
This is also true. I also liked the add-in, how they kind of got to the point where you kind of know that they set up the 75th Hunger Games anyway to have on the victors, how they added that in, the background of it.
I did not like that.
You didn't like that, really?
Like, I get that that's part of the reason that it's adapted is you get that point of view. I didn't like that it was Plutarch Heavenspeed that mentions it. Because in the book, and they don't bring it up in the movie because of this reason, is that in the book, he straight up tells Katniss, I never in 1,000 years thought you would be back in the game. I gave you the tip that I gave you because I thought you would be a mentor and to help you with your mentee. I did not expect you nor plan for you to be in the arena.
Does he say that?
Yeah, he says
I don't
that
remember that part
end.
specifically.
At the very end, when she's going to District 13, he says that. So it annoyed me that in the movie, he's the one that states that he planned for the 75th Hunger Games to be the
At the very end, let me see. He pulls out his pocket watch and runs his thumb over the crystal, lighting up with the Mockingjay. Of course, when I showed you this, I was merely tipping you off about the arena as a mentor. I thought it might be a first step towards gaining your trust. I never dreamed you'd be a tribute again. Oh.
See?
Yep.
See? Why I don't like it.
Yeah, because that was during the end of the Victor's tour.
Oh yeah, where he shows the watch. I do wish that they would have shown that. That would have been like really cool.
I thought it would have been awesome.
So yeah, so that's why I didn't like it. I would have loved to see the pocket watch and him showing it, but I know why they didn't do it, because they wanted the reveal at the very end for you to be like, oh snap, he's a rebel.
Yeah, but he kind of says it and gives you a tip anyway in that scene too. Anyway, to kind of let you know he is, he still says something, and I forgot what exactly he says to let you kind of tip off that he's
not quite an uppity up.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
Yeah.
So
that's why I didn't like that scene. Him implying the moves and counter moves and like doing it in the right way. And I do like though that it shows that President Snow, but I would have preferred President Snow to have come up with the idea all by himself, like the mastermind he is.
Yeah.
Instead of giving that one to Plutarch.
Yeah. I still would have preferred the clock watch scene.
Well, yeah, that, but I mean, like, the further scene, the one that you said you liked, of the whole showing the fact that the Capitol did, in fact, fake the envelope, and they really did just plan out.
Well, that's what I was saying. I like the fact that they showed that they faked it. I would have rather the same thing, that it was President Snow, but I'm just saying I'm glad it showed that it was actually them. Showed that they chose that they wanted it to be the victors. The backstory of it is what I mean.
Yeah. I think it was a missed opportunity to just give it to Snow instead of give it to Plutarch.
Yeah. I agree with that. But I was just saying I'm glad it showed the back end of it.
I mean, that's what, again, like I mentioned in the first one, is the author really did want that. She wanted the perspective of the game makers and the puppeteers. So we were always going to get those types of scenes.
Yeah, I was definitely glad to have that and have more of that the back end of it, of the game makers and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Now, what I didn't like, and again, I know they didn't have time for it, and it would have been really weird to just put it in there. And I do like the alternative of how they did it in the movie, but I really like in the books where they start training like careers.
Yeah.
Because logically, that's what all of them did. Like, there's only a handful of victors, man. They all started training. Let's be real. Like, it wasn't just Peeta, Hammond, and Katniss. It was all of them that started training, which is what made it even more deadlier. Is that, like, all of them then, like, had all this time in the world to freaking train to be killers, because they knew it was going to happen.
Expect, yeah.
And so it was interesting. I do like, though, and the one thing that I liked about the book, and it comes back around for the second book, and it would have been more impactful for the second movie, or for the third and fourth movie, is that Gale started helping Peeta learn how to do traps. And that's when Gale starts to get to know Peeta, and he straight up says, I wish Peeta was hateable.
Yeah, that's true.
And Katniss agrees. She's like, right? It would have been much easier if he's hateable.
And he's like, and they're just like, damn.
Yeah. So it was beautiful. I do like That part in the movie, don't like that it didn't come out in the movie, but I understand why. And then we do get that videos of all of the victors and who won who. And so that was interesting. I do like that they use Mags as like a reminder that Hamish is friends with all these people.
Yeah.
Because when Katniss is like, Finnick has to know that she's not going to make it, and he's like, she's a nice lady! Katniss! Yeah. Like, what? Like, yeah, I get it, she's old, but like, she's also really, really nice.
I know. He's like, she's a real nice lady. You know, he's like, I've been friends with these people for years.
Yeah, you know? And that's just like a little bit of a reminder. So, fun fact, and this is towards Ballad of Snake and Bird, whatever the prequel is of
Songbird. I guess we'll have to go and watch that in theaters. We'll have to get the book and do that, and we'll do one for that.
I already read the book. I got feelings about that too.
Well, I haven't read the book yet, lady. I'm gonna have to order that one and get that hardback because I have a set and now I need another one. Okay.
I believe that. So, what I was gonna say is, fun fact, that takes place in this in the Hunger Games 10. Hunger Games 11 is the one Mags wins.
11?
So Mags is like 90.
Jesus.
Or 70. Yeah, around 70 or 80. But yeah, because Mags wins the 11th Hunger Games.
Oh.
Yeah. She's like the oldest tribute alive.
Dang.
So I love it. I love Mags, man. She's so much better in the movies.
Yeah.
I love Finnick too. Like, I love Joanna and Finnick way more than I like Katniss. And, well, I like Peeta too, but, like, I love Joanna and Finnick. Like, book 2 and 3 make me, like, straight up love them.
I do like Finnick. He's funny. He's charismatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joanna is pretty funny too. Very, very straightforward and very...
I like how all of them like chose to mess with Katniss. And I like that in the books Peeta figures it out. I don't like that they don't show it in the movies, but in the book, after Joanna strips down naked in front of Katniss in the elevator, Peeta's like, "Oh my god, it's you! You're the reason they're acting so crazy!" Because like the District 11 tribute kisses her. Finnick is like all flirty. Joanna like sits down. I forget. I think there's like one more person that like did something else funny, and he's like, "Oh my god, we want to see your reaction." Like they're just messing with you, just to get a rise out of you. Like that's hilarious. Like Peeta found it hilarious that they were doing that to Katniss. So, like, I don't know. It was just, like, very interesting. I know that they tried to show that at the, like, in the movie, but in the books it goes, like, deeper. Like, you know how everyone in book 1, when they were at the chariots, they were all by themselves. They were, like, with their district tribute, and they were there. In the book, it's being told, like, oh, no, man, like, everybody's, like, everywhere. They're all, like, just in groups, just talking to each other and being friends, like. So I think that's like the harder ship of this movie, is that it is people who have known each other for at least a year longer than Katniss. I forget who's the 73rd winner, but it's just like this idea that they've all struggled, they've all had their hardships, and they've really connected. So it's just like an interesting perspective. And then I don't like that Finnick wasn't as much around Katniss as he is in the books pre-game. Mm-hmm. Because if I remember correctly, in the books, she doesn't show off to Mags. She shows off to Finnick.
She shows off mostly to Mags and to Beady and nuts and bolts. Bees and wires. There we go.
Yeah, no, but it's because she like gets frustrated, I think, with like some knots that she can't get him. Finnick.
Oh yeah, he does do that. They do that. She does do that with Finnick. She has a lot of interactions with a lot of the other tributes, though it doesn't show how much they interact with all each other and they get to know each other. All of them, actually grow a closer friendship. They've all like gathered together and eaten close together during their lunches and things like that. So that's why they're all able at the end during their interview, they all grab each other's hands and lift it up. They're all able to do that.
So yes and no. In the books, they were always going to be like that. The whole point of it was that Katniss was going to be the odd one out with Peeta, because they were going to do that regardless. Like, they were doing that even before they accepted Katniss in. And in the books, I believe she gets frustrated or something happens in which she needs to let off steam. And then that's when she goes all psycho, like Archer.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Finnick who, like, kind of, poked her and caused that. Because then she says after that, she was accepted to all the dinners. She was accepted to being friends with them and stuff like that. Peeta was having no problem doing that because Peeta's Peeta.
Yeah.
And he's hard to hate. But it wasn't until they saw Katniss as an actual fighter just like them that they have lunches with her and start like introducing her, and she does kind of start liking Joanna but not trusting her, and that's why that line has more of a meaning where Katniss says, how are we going to kill these people?
Mm-hmm.
It's because she's already kind of made friends with them, even the careers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she makes friends with the careers.
Yep. That's why I was like, it doesn't have as much of a meaning because it doesn't show that.
Yeah.
That she's made friends with all of them. So it made me sad. And I was like,
I love Finnick.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Awesome.
I hate his ending. I would have rather them kill anybody else. They could kill Gale. I don't care. You can kill Peeta, fudge it, I love Peeta. But Finnick gotta live.
Spoiler.
I said I would mention things from future books. No, but I do think it's interesting because, so like Joanna, she was the only female winner from District 7. So she knew she was going in. That's why she was mad. But I do find it interesting that the actress played her a little bit more aggressive than she is even in the books. Because in the books, her interview is like more sweet and more like, I can't believe you guys want to do that to us. Like, I thought we were supposed to live in, greatness and like all this stuff. And in the movie, she's like, how dare you do this to us?
She was all like, it was like beep 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 beep. I loved it though.
No, it is so much more beloved. But I think if that actress hadn't been casted as her, like, I don't think Joanna would have been as loved until the next book. But even then, they cut it, so I have mixed feelings about that. So I do love how beautiful she's portrayed in the movies more than in the books, even though there is more information in the books about her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is the only female, so that's why she joins the Rebels. So she's like, well, man, budget, gotta go back in the games. I'm done with the Capitol. Let's do this. What do I gotta do?
Oh, what do I need to cut up next?
So that's very, very interesting. I do love that in the book she's mentioned, like right off the bat. She's like one of the first people that's ever mentioned. Like, oh, Peeta can't play the poor innocent dude that's like scared and crying all the time. I mean, that tactic has been used by this chick called Joanna Mason. She did it, but by the time that people realized that she was a threat, they were all dead. I was like, yeah, go girl, go, you go. So I thought that was interesting that they had always pre-thought Joanna in the books. So I loved that in the second book you actually get to meet her and see her and see kind of how ruthless she is.
Yeah.
Way more ruthless than she is in the movie, I can tell you that much. maybe meaner and madder in the movies, but she ain't as ruthless. So I think that's very interesting. I love the tributes. Because, like, when Katniss thinks Joanna almost kills her, it's because she literally almost killed her. She doesn't tell her, like, stay down. She makes sure she stays down. She's too weak to get up.
Down in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie she says stay down, but in the book she just beat her up so badly, full of so much blood, that Embark literally says this person's gonna die in no time. In the movie, she had like a little bit of blood on her neck. That was it.
No, I think she knocks her when she knocks her across the temple. And
yeah, but she doesn't have that much blood. I literally just finished watching it for this podcast. Her outfit is clean, does not have any blood on it. The only blood on Katniss is on her throat and a little bit on her head. Not enough to fool Embark into thinking she's almost dead.
But they didn't even go by her in the movie.
Yeah, because Joanna like scared them off. But that's the whole point. Like, what if Peeta's fighting things is like Joanna almost killed her? No, she didn't. Not in the movie.
Yeah.
She just took out the tracker. That was it.
Yeah.
And like in the book, you can tell why she doesn't trust Finnick because of how close Joanna and him have been the entire
time.
Yeah, like the entire time that they're around Katniss, they have like this inside thing. And so the moment that Katniss thinks, oh my god, Joanna almost killed me. Yeah, so when Joanna almost kills her or whatever, she then starts hiding from Finnick because she's like, oh, if Joanna turned on us, that means Finnick turned on us.
Yep.
And that's when she starts getting scared and starts looking for Peeta because she's like, oh my god, Peeta doesn't know that they betrayed us. But they didn't betray them. And if Finnick was quicker and stronger, maybe he could have saved Peeta.
Yep. It doesn't even show in the movie that Peeta was trying to go after Katniss either.
Yeah, that part annoys me. Because that's never mentioned, but in the books it's mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went freaking cannons rang, and I went looking for you, as we agreed.
Yep. Yep, but nothing.
What else am I missing?
Oh, this still bothers me. The assistant stylists.
How they cry?
Well, that too. But basically, yeah, the relationship is still not shown, there. And like in the first book, how it wasn't shown in the first book and how it's still not shown in the movies. Because I know it does play into the third movie.
It does.
Yeah, it's not shown. It's supposed to be consistent and it doesn't show because it ends up playing into it. Because the only one that was shown was Effie.
Well, no, they kind of show them in this one crying a little bit when they do their makeup. But again, there's not enough time. There wasn't enough build-up in the first movie to justify it.
Yeah, but not.
It does go through Effie. And of course, the third book is changed because of the portrayal of Effie by the actress, which is an incredible portrayal. And I love the decision that they make in the following movies. But yeah, like, unfortunately, they had to make a choice. They went with the one who did the better performance, I think.
Yeah. So, but still, it still makes me a little sad because it.
Well, it adds to something that is a conflict within Gale and Katniss. And it's the whole idea that, and that's one thing that I kind of don't like that they really put pressure on in the movie. They kind of mention it and he's kind of like that and they really go hard in the next movie. But in these two, it's not. And it makes it seem like he's not fully as like crazy committed as he is in the books of like this rebellion. Because I think there is a lesson to Gale. And we can talk about it definitely more in the next two movies. But the setup is there.
Yeah.
That he's like, Katniss literally is offering him what he wants, right? Like, maybe if we go off together, I can be your wife.
Yeah, I can be more. I can think of you more than what I am.
And then, but he decides not to because of the rebellion.
Yeah.
And I do like that in the book she does mention, like, I chose Gale, so I can't be affectionate towards Peeta anymore.
Yeah.
And then in the movies, once she thinks she's gonna die, she's like, starts being hella lovey-dovey to Peeta without having to feel guilty, because she's like, I'm gonna die anyways, it's fine, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true, because she did decide him when the lashes, whippings earlier on in the movie.
But I really don't think it's that. I've never thought that she has ever officially chosen Gale. Like, I know that she says it in the books and stuff like that. I think that she chose Peeta. I think the thing is that she hates that the Capitol created it, and it was never her decision. It always felt like it was somebody else's decision. And she felt like if she would have never been in the games, that inevitably she would have ended up with Gale.
Yeah, I think she would have ended up with Gale if it wasn't for the games, for sure.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think Gale would have ever told her, and I don't think she ever wanted a relationship. I think she would have died a spinster. I personally think that she would have died a spinster, and unless Gale told her, like, eventually when he got older and he was like, okay, I want to start a family, I want to do all this stuff. And I think what would have ended up happening is Katniss would have been like, cool, but we're not having kids.
Possibly. Or they possibly would have actually ran away. I don't know.
I don't think they would have ever run away. Because she would have never left Prim. And Prim, again in the book, is shown that she cannot survive in the woods. In the books, Katniss took her out to the woods so many times, and every time she was afraid, she was scared, she was this. The only reason that she really had the wherewithal to really, like, start fighting back and being this powerful kid is because she saw her sister go into the arena twice.
Yeah.
She made a decision. She's like, okay, I could literally lose everything. I need to stand by and see how I can help. I think being reaped really changed her, and I think it made her grow up. And I don't think without that, I think she would have just married. I think she would have married someone, not from the scenes. I think she would have married someone from, like, the market or, like, higher up in District 12. Maybe even a peacekeeper, who knows? And then she would have lived a good life, and Katniss would have been a spinster. Or would have ended up with Gale, but with no kids.
Possibly. It's very possible. Speaking of kids, another thing that bugs me, they hardly mention the baby in the damn movie.
I know!
Like, after they're like, but if it wasn't for the baby. They don't, after that, they hardly mention it in the movie.
Yeah, they just mention it the one time. And then, because, yeah, in the books, she's constantly going like, how am I supposed to act? How do pregnant people act? Like, what?
Yeah. And then Finnick is like, you know, due to your condition, she's like, what condition? Oh yeah, I'm pregnant. You should drink more water due to your condition. Here you go.
No, yeah, like, Finnick was really, like, helping sell it, and that is actually one thing that helped gain her trust, is how much she's like, if Finnick wouldn't be doing this stuff, our lie would have come apart already. And that wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
And so, like, more and more does she start trusting Finnick. And I'm not gonna lie, in the books, I love the friendship between Katniss and Finnick. Because it's a platonic friendship. It's her first ever platonic friendship, except for Cinna.
Yep.
And with another dude her age.
Yep. And it's good, and they do good with it. Everything. So, yeah, and, you know, he helps her with it throughout the book, and, you know, for food, I think they give her extra food too, if I remember right.
Yeah, and then when she, like, gets hysterical with Peeta or whatever, he blames it on her hormones.
Yep. And yeah, he's like, it's fine, she's just probably being a little extra crazy because of her hormones. And And he's like, and Peeta's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So the reason that I really liked that in the books is because she even mentions it in the book where they're having that sweet moment where Peeta's trying to convince her to live instead of him. You know, the part where he says, I don't have anyone.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he doesn't have a family. It means his family has dealt with the fact that he was going to die in the first games. So dying in this game is perfectly okay with them. I mean, not perfectly okay with them, but they can live. Like, they'll be fine eventually. They'll breathe, they'll be sad, and that's fine.
They kind of already thought, they're like, he survived one. There's no way he's going to survive another, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, so what he means by he has nobody, he has no romantic interest, no romantic partner. He's, you know, he does not have that. He just has eyes for her. He just loves her. And she has Gale. Yep. Who she already, before this, had already chosen him. So she definitely had Gale. So
shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
Shadow of doubt.
So it, like, the part of that was so beautiful. And then Katniss in the book says, I know he's being real and not playing for the audience because he's not mentioned the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't until at the very, very end he mentions the baby and she's like, and now we must go back to playing our roles in the games. And I think that's the most beautiful thing ever. And that only would have worked because they're constantly reminding you that she's pregnant.
Yep.
She's supposed to be pregnant.
Yep. Yep. Because he like touches her belly too, where the baby's supposed to be and everything.
Yeah. I mean, the thing lasted 3 days, so it's fine that she never showed. The games literally did not last that long.
They did not. So.
Which is funny because I like in the books where she's like, oh my god, like more than half of us are dead. This is probably like a record. I'm like, yeah, because all of you are trained killers. Like, this is gonna be the funniest Hunger Games ever because of that. Like, so bad.
Yeah, I think the total of it was really like maybe 5 days because I think there's like a day or two rest, maybe.
No, it's 3.
Is it 3 days?
Yeah.
No.
Because of the bread. They were right about that.
The
whole District 3 bread was the day that they were going to escape.
Oh.
And the amount of bread was always the time. That never changed.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It was actually 3 days, which I found very impressive that they like went through all that. And
okay.
So it was interesting. I wish though, and I guess the way that they played it was interesting, but like when Joanna goes like, hey, Haymitch told me if I brought you Beatty and Wire that we'd be allies. And in the movie, she's like, I brought them for you. Like, why are you mad at me? I did, but I was told to be your ally.
Well, she didn't even understand it. Oh, that was another thing that bugged me too. When the Morphling from
Yeah, the Morphling.
Peeta actually, in the book, Peeta actually spent a lot of time with her at the painting station in the book.
With both of them.
Huh?
With
both the Morphlings. And, you know, it was supposed to be more of a touching moment when he's with her, you know, as she's dying. And he's just like, I didn't even know her name. And I'm like, you do know her name. You spent like hours with her. And it just bugged me. It bugged me so much. And I was like,
and it makes sense why he does the whole painting speech and analogy, because they were painters. They thought the same way in that aspect.
Yep. And I was like, yeah, that's why you actually say, hey, look up at the sky, and he's supposed to describe it and everything and blah, blah, blah. That was the whole point of him saying that. And it just bugged me. And he's like, she saved me and I don't even know why, or, you know, or her name. And I was like, grr. I'm so mad.
Well, also, like, he studied every single one of them. So, yes, he does know every single member, which is actually what Katniss mentions in the book, is, like, the horrificness of, like, so many people dying. Is, like, she recognized so many people that died. Like in the first game, she's like, okay, district whatever, district that, this district this. This time I was like, oh my god, that one dude, and that other dude, and that other dude, and that other chick, and oh my god. Well, there's a lot of people that died.
Mm-hmm.
But I
She knew all their names though. And this one,
Yeah.
she knew everybody's names. She knew who they were. She knew their districts. You know, she got to know each and every one of them. So
it was
it
hard.
was more hurtful for her and PETA because they both got to know him.
Yeah, which is why they didn't want to kill nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did.
Of course, they did, but they tried their best actually not to.
Yeah.
And this Hunger Games, I mean, they went more after people in the first Hunger Games compared to this Hunger Games. So
when Madge dies.
Mm-hmm. Mags
dies was so sad.
It was. It really was sad.
So in the books, she doesn't see what really, really happens. It's like supposed to be further away and stuff like that. And it's because Finnick is slowing down and he really can't carry both or whatever. And it's like way more, I don't know. I feel like it's way more impactful in the book.
It is. That scene is way more impactful in the book.
You know that's like basically his mom. That's what Joanna constantly uses to get back at Katniss, and Katniss feels like horrible because half the tributes have sacrificed themselves, and they're like slowly seeing that.
Yeah, and it's just sad. And they're not realizing a lot until later on.
Yeah,
and basically until the end of the book, where she realizes that.
Yeah, that it was all a plan, and that was the whole intention was to get her out, and PETA
was kind of a hit or miss kind of thing. It was as long as she got out kind of thing. So.
Yeah, he was secondary, which I mean, to PETA he was also secondary, so, you know, it's kind of hard. Like, I don't know, it's one of those movies that there was a lot to unpackage, but at the same time you have a limited amount of time. So you choose what you can.
That's true. I mean, it's quite. In total, there is. Let's see. Come here. 391 pages. So.
Like I said, yeah, it was like 10 or 11 hours of audio reading.
So, yeah, it is quite a bit of catnip to read.
But it is like the start of the rebellion. You see how Haymitch kind of knows a lot more than he's implying. Oh, I hate that they removed all of Haymitch's stuff. Oh, I'm so sad. Because you finally realize like why he's a drunk is because he was a mentor for like 23 years. And he would get to know the tributes, both of them, not even Swan, but both of them, and then watch them die in the arena every time for 23 years.
Yep.
And I do like in the books how they talk about how, like, oh, Haymitch is going to get interviewed more this year than the years before because he was the winner of the second quarter quell. And then they don't even talk about what he did to win.
Yeah, then they end up watching his.
And how there's double the tributes. And how Katniss's mom's friend. I mean, that one, you had to remove it because, like, that was just another person that wouldn't have mattered. But it did matter.
Because that's how she got her pen.
Yeah. And it's just...
and that was the aunt of the mayor's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like, there was
the mayor's wife's sister. There we go.
Yeah.
I was like, I was on the roll there. I was just a little off. So.
But yeah, so you start to see the rebellion. You start to see that the reason that they have the conversation outside in the snow of like Prim saying we're with you is because she thinks that their house is bugged.
Which I'm sure it is. So.
No, yeah, it's highly implied that it is. And then when in the movie they show the camera of them kissing, it's kind of like really told like, yeah, we're watching you. So it's like interesting and like an interesting perspective on how hard this Hunger Games was comparatively to the other one, which I love. was way more beautiful. You got to literally learn a little bit about Annie when Joanna says there's no one left for me to love. It was really sad. They never mention it in the books, but apparently, like, according to a lot of fan theories or a lot of fan research, it was because Joanna, she was offered basically the same thing that Finnick was offered. And by offered, I mean they wanted to do what they did to Finnick to Joanna. And Joanna was like, yeah, I'm not a whore or a slut. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not a prostitute. I'm not gonna
be your pawn.
Yeah, so basically, Joanna said, I'm not going to be a pawn to Snow. Do you know what Snow did?
Killed all she loved.
Yeah, killed her entire family in front of her. And so for 7 years or 3 years or how many I think it was only like 3 years that she was a victor. She hid in her house and only came out when she had to mentor the female tribute of District 7.
Wow, I did not know that part. I didn't dig that deep.
Yeah. And so, but Haymitch was so cute. But I think that's like kind of the similar. So the reason that Katniss started to see Haymitch in a different light is when she sees his games and sees that his ally, they had split ways because they were no longer going to be allies because it was like getting down to like the last of them. And she starts screaming for him, which is the friend of her mom, and he starts running to her, and she says like District 12 wouldn't have blamed him for not running towards her. He would have like not blamed him for like doing, just going on his way, but seeing that he ran after her, like she saw how much he cared, and that's like Katniss kind of like the interpretation that I got from the books is like, I understand what that's like. I ran over, I ran to Rue. Like, this is very similar to her running to Rue and watching your ally die in your arms.
Yeah.
And then Haymitch's family die because he outsmarted the game makers. He's a little too smart, man. What I gotta say.
He is smart. That's how he's lived and whatnot, and
survived.
Yep, for as long as he has, but I guess that's also why he's also been hurt so much and probably not wanted to try as hard with some of the other District 12 tributes.
Yeah, well, it goes in the books where I think so. Katniss says, like, I believe that maybe at the beginning Haymitch really did want to help the tributes, but after a while of just watching them die, it's better to be detached.
Yeah.
Until us. And then it goes back to Peeta and Katniss saved Haymitch and it changed him. No, but okay, so any final thoughts on Catching Fire? What did you think? What did you like about Catching Fire the most? I loved the introduction of Finnick and Joanna because I do think they are probably two of my favorite characters in these types of movies, but definitely in this series. And I liked that this one you finally got to see what could have happened to Katniss and Peeta had they like gone on to be victors instead of what they became, which I think makes Effie's line in the movie so much worse, where she says, I hope you find it the life of a victor, because in her head she still thought victors were treated so well, when in fact the life of a victor was torturous and horrible.
Yeah, I definitely liked how you could see both sides. You could see how brutal a lot of the other victors were to begin with, previous victors. How you were able to see that the camaraderie of them, in a sense, their interaction. I kind of wish they would have shown some of the mentors with them, in a sense. I think that would have been real neat too. Let me see. Other than that, I think it was still, like, overall was still really good, other than some of the missing scenes that we've discussed throughout this episode. One other thing that I thought about while you were talking, they did not rinse off the poison in the sea in the movie. They rinsed off the poison bumps from the fog in a lake. And I was like, cheat.
I mean, yeah, it was just meant to be full of water at that point.
I know, and I was like, you didn't find any fresh water. That's why you ended up with the spool thing. There was no fresh water other than that pool thing of seawater, sea lake stuff.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And I was like, rude. Such a lie.
That's fair. I didn't think about that one.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah. You're supposed to have dragged yourselves all the way to the beach.
Well, no. So here's the thing. You could have thought of it as that's left over from the wave. So that's still seawater, which is undrinkable, but it could still clean your wounds.
I suppose.
Because it's like that giant splash that, makes it.
Yeah. But they weren't, I don't think they were that close to the beach yet.
Probably not. I'm just trying to give it some benefit of the doubt.
And you're like, I'm trying to help out the movie here.
Yeah, because it can't even be like, oh, there was rain, because that's the blood rain. There's not actual rain.
Yeah, I was like, it hasn't rained there at all. So, but no, it was just water puddle there. No, see, I was like, for shame. But yeah, that was something that bugged me. Other than the baby.
Other than never mentioning that she was pregnant through it. The whole thing.
And once in the movie when they said, oh, she's pregnant. I can't believe we're going into the 75th Hunger Games while she's pregnant. And that's the only time ever they mention it. And in the next movie.
Oh, they do mention it in the next movie.
Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
I did actually. When I watched them back to back, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
A lot of what ifs. So like, what if Katniss was never chosen? Would she have been with Gale? And she tries to go down that path. A lot of like, had we not been gone back into the arena, what it would have been like to be victors? And you get a sense of like, oh, I would not have wanted to be a victor.
Yeah, I think they both would have been very tortured about that.
No, I think they would have both been Finnick, but it would have been together. Like, people in the Capitol would have wanted them together to sleep with them.
Yeah.
Like, they would do more three-ways than actual, where they would swing and do a couple of things. Like, I think they would have been in package deals, all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they would have had Prim to torture Katniss with. I think it would have been more Gale and her mom.
Yeah.
Because Prim was protected.
Yeah, because they all adored Prim.
Yeah. So
just for the simple fact that she volunteered for Prim.
Now this is the one Hunger Games that if one person had to win, I think it would have been Finnick, Joanna, or Katniss.
Yeah.
Let's be real, it would have been Joanna. In the book version of Joanna, we killed everybody.
Yeah, because she managed to kill the other two careers that were on her tail.
No, Inabaris lives.
Does he?
Yeah, she comes out in the, like, when all of the remaining victors are on the table, she's there. Kinda, like, Joanna's hella pissed that she's there too. She's the only one that's not friends with them. She's like, no, she doesn't get a vote. Like, get her out of here. Like, no. And Courtney's like, no, y'all are victors. Y'all get a vote. She's like,
oh yeah, I remember.
2 seconds. She don't get a vote.
I remember.
So yeah, she.
I told you it's been a while.
Oh.
It's been a while.
Yeah, love Hunger Games. I watch it like every year, and read the book every year. So that's why I remember it. I was like, yeah, he's there. But she does kill the dude.
So.
And she is very ruthless. That's why I think she would have won. I think maybe Finnick would have been able to, but I think Peeta would have been able to overpower Finnick, but Joanna would have killed both Peeta and Finnick and Katniss. Because she easily overpowered Katniss.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
She also got her by surprise too, to be fair.
Yeah, because I was gonna say in the books, Katniss is constantly like, I could take on Joanna. I'm like, nah. Not in hand-to-hand combat. Maybe from far away, yeah.
Yeah, but not when up close.
Yeah, like up close and personal, she'll kill you. But luckily, you're the one thing she's trying to protect, so you're lucky. But if they were like actual like rivals and there was no rebellion, I think Joanna might have won. But if like they had to have one winner come out, I do think Katniss would have been the one that wins, because there would have been so many tributes protecting her and saving her if there was a rebellion and they didn't escape the arena.
Yeah. Just because of that, yeah. They would try their best to. This is true. Alrighty.
Okay. So thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for watching our antics. We will be working on reading the book, the next chapter book.
Walking Day.
Yes, that is our next book and movie. Well, technically 2 movies, 1 and 2. Please stay tuned and watch for the next episode, which will be our quiz, and see how entertaining we are and how I challenge my cousin to another quiz game.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Be sure to follow us on YouTube for any latest updates, as well as Twitter. We're trying to kind of build this community and really talk and get your perspective on it.
Please give us a follow, subscribe, leave a comment. Other than that, y'all have a great day, great night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you guys next time.